REI Live. Like Mark pointed out, I did make a typo. We are out of 2020, thank goodness, and we are into 2021 January's meeting. A little bit about us. We are on Facebook, and we do have a website if you guys want to check out any of our stuff or find out what's coming up. That's a really great resource. We've got the Mark skier. He's got it behind his picture frame right now with the fist bump, rocket ship, and the heart. We've got all of that stuff out on the website. You can find it at reilivesrq.com, as well as all of our upcoming events are on the website. We also have a YouTube channel, so this will get uploaded, I would say probably Sunday. I've got a couple things going on tomorrow, so we will have the recording if you guys want to come back and take notes from what Robert has to share with us today. Please check out back up there. If you subscribe and turn the bell on, it'll actually notify you every time that we upload a new video. So a little bit about REI Live. We were actually started in Birmingham, Alabama by Brian Tripp, and then have expanded since then to 5 other locations. We've got Columbia, South Carolina, Sarasota, Florida, that's us, Atlanta, Georgia, and Orlando opened up last year. So we're really excited about that. We're always looking to grow and network with other cities. So if you have something going on or business and you want us to put you in contact with one of these other REI Live networks, we're more than happy to do that. A little bit about our gear. I told you about it. So we've got all of this up on the website, as well as more at reilivesrq.com. If you have any questions or you'd like something else, just let me know and we can definitely try to create it for you. We also are partnered with LeadX, which is a great place to look for discounted leads, websites, CRMs, alternatives to the MLS, including PropStream, skip tracing tools, and discounted mail. So if you guys are looking to expand your business and look into other avenues to generate leads, please let us know and we're happy to put you in contact. You can reach out to myself, Paul, or Brittany for more information about LeadX. This is half of our sponsors up here. We've got great sponsors and partners with lending and closing agents, supply and demand. Relax Realty is a property management group. Flowers, banks. If you haven't talked to Sable Palm about your PPP loan, please let us know. We'll put you in contact with them. Home inspections, as well as some of our resources to grow your business, including PropStream, print mail, open letter, batch skip tracing, OnCare at Beast Mode, and Podio. This is all of our contact information. Our team includes Paul, which is on the screen right now. Brittany, I don't see her camera on, but it could be that I am in share mode. Mark has got the fist bump emojis behind him. If you have any questions or you want to run a deal past us, please reach out. It is our actual email addresses. Paul's, Britt's, Mark's, and myself, as well as our phone numbers are down here at the bottom of the screen. You're welcome to follow us on Instagram as well if you want to see what we're kind of doing and where we're out in the business. And without further ado, I promised I'd get it to you really quick, Robert. I will let you take it over, and let me stop screen sharing really quick so I can give you access to.
Yeah, thank you for having me on today. Very excited to share some information. I'm actually taking from a recent presentation that we did somewhere else, and I'm just going to share everything that we shared there with this group. So it'll give you a lot of catch up to where we're at now. And then also just the things that we see from our seat at realestateinvestor.com, operating tons and hundreds of different operations across the country. So it's a lot of different, let me get it opened correctly. A second here.
Did I turn the access on correctly for you?
Yeah, I have access. I just need to make sure I actually turn on the slides.
Are you calling me from there?
Well, he's looking to get access. I recommend everybody get a pen and paper out. He's going to give you guys some information that's going to be very useful to your business.
I'm gonna wait. Where's the screen? Let me click that off. That's not what I meant to share. Let me redo that. Stop share. Reshare. Look, I'm acting technically challenged here.
No, you're good. I was like, please don't let me share the wrong web browser and all the Facebook comments I'm putting up there.
Yep. All right, let me go back to. I am. Let me.
Perfect. Imagine waking up.
Okay, yep. Let me go back a slide. I'll say I knew something got clicked wrong and I was looking at the wrong screen. There we go.
Perfect.
Now you see how to find off-market invisible deals that none of your competition knows about, right?
Yay.
Okay. Well, and we'll talk about scaling your business to a level that you may have never thought about possible. Now, I know some of you either are beginning and you're on here, or you're in a place where you've been doing deals, and either way, this is going to fit for you. So just take what fits for you. Don't take what doesn't fit for you. But enjoy the ride. Take notes at the end. I'm open to answer any questions about anything that you see in here. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, and remember, this is somewhat was done as a presentation that we did. So I'm going to kind of go fast through some of this, but just giving you some of examples. Imagine waking up out of bed with deals. These are just examples of deals that clients of ours at realestateinvestor.com have done and shared with us so that we could use it when we did this presentation to show live examples of deals that were just done in 2020. Because a lot of people started to believe deals couldn't get done, and they couldn't get done virtually. And so we were doing a presentation sharing all that, and then how to find these types of deals, and then more importantly, how to convert them and make money. So some example deals, one of our members out of South Carolina did this deal. We're showing you the Zestimate on it is 145. They got it for 52.5. They turned around and wholesaled it for 20,500 wholesale fee. Another deal out of North Carolina, another example, 155 Zestimate, 60K on the contract price, quick turnaround on assignment for 20,000. Got a deal from a member out in Texas, 111 Zestimate, 35 contract. Oh, sorry, I heard audio kicking in, so I didn't know if someone was talking. Assignment fee on this one, 10,000. So, and then actually right here in Tampa. So one of our members in Tampa, I wonder if this might've been my office in Tampa, 289's estimate, 132 contract price, and a 30,500 assignment fee. So just some examples of some of the deals that have been done in 2020 for some of our members. So who's this presentation really for, right? And so this presentation and everything that's included in it is for anyone that's a wholesaler, a rehabber, a landlord that really just wants to tap into a consistent, untapped source of off-market properties. And in here, we're going to show you how you can do that virtually too. So it doesn't have to be your local market. I've been doing virtual for many, many years, but a lot of people started to realize they had to pivot into virtual early COVID. Now you can still do some depending on what market you're in. I know you all are most likely in the Florida market, but since you're doing this virtually, I'm going to take the assumption that you may not be. So who else is for it? You could be an agent who just wants to get a peek behind the curtains of a real estate investing world, and how to really compete against the iBuyers and generate more business for yourself as an agent as well. Anyone that's currently closing deals and is looking to double or triple the number of transactions, or increase the profit that you got on deals. It's also for anyone that already has leads and deals and you're just simply overwhelmed and you want to get more organized so that you can actually scale your business to over $1 million in profit if you're not already there. Or maybe you're brand new. If anyone on here is brand new and you've never done a deal, it's okay. Understand this is very advanced stuff that I'm going to show. So it's not like, fluff or hype that you'll see from some gurus on what's out there. This is literally what's happening. So understand a lot of people aren't ready to invest in an actual marketing budget to get deals, but that's what it takes to run a business. So I'm going to share that. These are not beginner strategies that I'm mostly going to be teaching. However, you can take from here the little nuggets, and then I can answer questions at the end of how I would adjust some of this for someone if you are a beginner. And then again, we're not trying to be the biggest at what we do. We just want to be the best. So not everything that we share is for everyone, but it is what we do. Who's it not for? Anyone that doesn't want to actually talk to motivated sellers, you're probably in the wrong business, and probably should reconsider something besides real estate. If you have zero marketing budget or any resources to invest in your business, well, again, you can do it, but it's extremely hard, regardless of what others say, that you can do all this with nothing. It's going to take a lot of time and effort. That's the difference when you don't have money to put into marketing and to do other things that can get done for you. And if you're scarcity minded or a know-it-all, well, then you're not going to accept any guidance anyway. So you're probably not going to listen to most of anything you listen to. And again, probably not the right thing to listen to. So here's the things we're going to cover today. I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room in our industry. Mark kind of touched on some of it, but I'm going to talk about deeper from a different perspective and the current state of the real estate market. Also, how we get that invisible source of deals that no one knows about. We're going to talk about, I'm not actually going to do a demo of our software, but I will talk about it. But I'm mostly just going to share the strategies that you can take away, what we do within that, so that you can apply it to your business, no matter what software you currently have. And then if anyone needs help, I'll tell you how you can get access to our stuff at the end. But again, that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to deliver value. If there's anything that we can help you with, you can always reach out to us at realestateinvestor.com. We're happy to help. So this is actually me and my partner. I am the software guy in the really awesome suit on the left. I have to put that plug in because it just recently got done. And then my partner at realestateinvestor.com, who has mailed over 70 million postcards. That's correct. 70 million postcards in all 50 states across the US. We've made over 5 million phone calls on the behalf of agents and investors around the country. So we just say all that to say we've owned a whole lot of companies related to real estate in every avenue and angle that you could approach this business in. We've combined all of our effort into one place. And so just to tell you a little bit more about realestateinvestor.com, we're not just a fancy website name, which a lot of people always ask me how we got that and how much. I won't answer that question at the end, but that is a question that comes up a lot. We have over 90 employees, of which half are overseas. We're dedicated to real estate investors. We provide the best tools, resources, and training to help people scale their business. We're also a turnkey marketing agency that offers completely done-for-you marketing services for less than it would cost you to outsource everything on your own. So we came together with everything we did to create an environment that's the best. And it's really just, we're big so that others can run a profitable and lean operation. So I'm going to give you a couple examples, see if you fit in one of these buckets, who you'd rather be. Call it the struggling entrepreneur, right? Are you currently working over 40 hours every week? You're trying to scale despite cutting costs. You can't scale. You're doing almost everything in your business right now. You're working a huge volume of leads that don't seem to close. This unfortunately happens to be the story for most real estate investors. Hopefully that's not you on here. But if it is, I'm going to give you a lot of stuff that's going to be able to help you get out of that and over to the flourishing entrepreneur, which is the guy working less than 40 hours a week and has time for vacations. Or if you're like Mark, you just live on vacation all the time, all over the place, and enjoy life. That's where we all want to be. Spending money smart, getting a 10x ROI on your money, scaling your business through the 7-figure mark, if that's your goal, or replacing the job you currently have, if that's your goal. Having a system and team working your leads for you, and only picking up the phone to close motivated sellers. This can be you if you work smarter, not harder. And this is probably getting close to the point where you're going to want to have that pen handy, because I'm going to start sharing with you how to work smarter and not harder in the coming slides. So the big elephant in the room, because the state of the market, everyone is chasing and making offers on the same deals using the same old finding techniques. Let that sink in. Ooh, oh, there we go. So why is that a problem? Let's look at some of the facts here. So rates, as Mark shared earlier, are at an all-time low, which just means that brings way more buyers into a market, which we're currently seeing, right? We have great buyer activity, which also creates low inventory in a constant trend in most markets across the country. I hear it all the time, especially in the bigger operations. If a house is listed on MLS and it's priced right, it's going to sell quick. We're actually listing more of our houses and even the wholesales we're doing just because of that fact alone. Because of the pandemic, a correction is likely imminent. So I agree with Mark when he said 2021 has the potential to be one of the biggest transfers of wealth. And everyone I talk to says that too, because there's just so much going on that there is a high likelihood that there is going to be some massive opportunities later this year with everything that's going on now that we're post-election. We won't get into any election stuff either. What does all this mean for you? So you should be using the MLS to sell your properties, not to buy them. The real estate entrepreneurs who crack the code, consistently can get deals before they actually hit the retail market, are going to be the ones who win, which I'm going to share with you. So get ready. I'm going to share you all the little tactics that we're using and doing and how we're getting those types of deals that you saw earlier. So you must run a lean business so you can keep your revenues when you close your deals. And it means doing more with less. That's definitely the name of the game today. I've seen a lot of people shut down office locations and pivot to virtual just so they could cut expenses that were unnecessary for their business to run. And all your marketing dollars, you need to be spending them smart. So most of you may be familiar, and if you're not, introduction to the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. This is how you should apply this to your marketing. And it's really what I'm going to go over in your marketing today, is how to apply that principle, the 80-20 principle, to your marketing so you're not wasting marketing dollars anymore. And so the number one reason that we see investors that don't get any off-market deals is, quite honestly, they just have zero to spend on marketing. So if you have zero to spend on marketing, then you're always relying on organic referrals, other wholesalers, and MLS deals to find deals. And you will find deals, you just have a less likelihood of it in today's current market. One month you have 2 or 3 closings, the next month you got nothing, right? So you're in that feast and famine because you have no actual marketing budget driving you a consistent lead flow. And you're fishing in the same pond as everyone else. So you're spending your time analyzing and making offers on deals that get outbid by other investors that are just paying too much today. So it's hard to compete with that if you're competing in that pond. And scaling to make an income beyond 6 figures is pretty difficult. And 7 figures just really isn't happening for most people. Unless you're just really, really good at rehabs and you can work on really thin margins, then some of those people are an exception to that rule. So if these business owners would simply reallocate the amount of money that they're paying in assignment fees to other wholesalers that are bringing them deals on the right kind of marketing, they'd make a lot more money. Okay, so now we're getting into the juice. So how do I get off-market deals? I'm going to go over option 1, right? Mass media advertising. So this is going to be things like your radio, your TV, your Google PPC, your Facebook PPC, pay-per-click, for those of you that don't know what PPC means. Sorry, I'm used to acronyms. Your bandit signs and your billboards, right? That's your mass media advertising. The problem with most media advertising is that it's just expensive. So too much of your advertising efforts end up being wasted on reaching people who don't even own a property because you're trying to reach the masses and those types of things, right? And so number 2 is direct marketing to property owners. This is where you're going after your pre-foreclosures, your free and clears, vacant houses, probates, code violations, high equity foreclosures, tax defaults, absentee owners. Yes, I said tax defaults twice, expired listings, and recently divorced. This is just a big host of, and I'll pause here for a second to note that I'm going to talk about this multiple times because looking at identifying pain points are going to be one of the golden pieces that if you've never thought about having all these different data points, it's one of the things you're missing out on. And it's why you're not applying the 80-20 principle right now to your marketing. And you're missing out. So if you're attacking one of these, that's good. But what if you could attack 3 or 4, right? I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but we're constantly seeing the same 2 problems when we consult with investors that are trying to scale beyond $1 million. Problem 1 is they just have a marketing budget, but they spend it in all the wrong places. They got plenty of leads, closings, but most of their profits get wasted on overhead, employees, all the host of technology tools you're told to go get to run your business. Half their profits are spent on marketing, which include too much direct mail to all the wrong people. And they're trying to market to too large of a pool, right? The mass media, which is going to take you way too much time, effort, and expense to actually get a good deal instead of being much more targeted. So write this down. About 1/6 of your assignment fees, the revenue that you bring in, you should take and hold and spend on marketing to acquire a good deal that you can wholesale. Now, if you're a rehabber, you could apply that same rule to your rehabs too, right? And if you did the math, you'd figure out that if you're buying from other wholesalers, you're probably paying more than that out of your actual revenues you could make, and you could spend that in good marketing and find deals that are highly profitable for you. So these are actually real numbers. These are the ones that you can use to scale. So again, 1/6 of the profit you're making is what you should be putting back into your marketing engine so that you can continue to get great lead flow. And I'm going to share with you how and who to go after too. Problem 2 is you're overwhelmed and disorganized, right? If that's a picture of your office and you got all that stuff all over the place, well, that's definitely part of your problem. You're doing way too much busy work. You're using several different software tools, and you've got a, like to call the Frankenstein organizational system, or the bubble gum and duct tape. You've put all these things together to try to keep stuff organized, and that's just a disorganized mess. Trust me, I know from experience. I've had over 12 or 13 subscriptions at one time before as well. They don't have, you don't have one place to go to actually see what your tasks for the day are. And because of this, your daily activity actually never reaches its full potential. You're busy, you're just not productive, right? So hopefully I'm going to help you today through some of the stuff I'm going to share to switch that from being busy to being highly productive and very efficient with your time and energy and dollars. So you got to avoid these 4 mistakes if you want to scale a lean, profitable business. And so number 1 is relying on list sources that are rarely updated. So number 1, beware of any of the free nationwide motivated seller leads that come with a lot of the popular real estate CRMs that are out there today. Companies are essentially buying a list nationwide, sticking it in their software, and then they're selling it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that buys their software. It's not usually the most up-to-date information. And even if the information is good, it's being exposed to everyone because everyone that's on the platform is buying the exact same data. So not a great thing to do. Pro secret, take this down, buy your list from a reputable provider. So I'm gonna give you a couple, well, we're gonna start there, that's right. Although going to the courthouse and getting data yourself is going to be the best, most freshest list and is not usually a good use of your time. Now, if the market that you're targeting has it available online and you can find it, your county, your courthouse, your local provider, and I'm adding to what we did here just to give you guys some more information for this. If you have a great relationship with a title provider, these are going to be your freshest, most up-to-date data providers because you're going directly to the source. Anyone else that you buy from, anyone, they have to get it from there. So they're buying data and then they're reselling you that data to make it convenient, which there's a convenience factor in there. But now you got to make sure that the person that is reselling you data is actually keeping their data fresh and up to date. They didn't just buy it today. And what you're buying today is last year's data from over a year ago. It's irrelevant. The houses could have been sold. There's a lot of mixture in that. So I just want to give you, if you have the time, energy, and can get it online, the best sources are going to be direct to the courthouse steps, the county records, and your local title company sources, which is where they get it from too. The next best is going to be a data provider, right? And some data providers could get as high as $6 a lead, depending on the type of list that you're getting. I've seen it that high with like specifically probates, where there's a list provider I'm aware of that actually sends people out around the nation to courthouses to go get the data every single month. So you're paying a high premium for you to not have to go do that work, but it's saving you a bunch of time. So that's budget. If you have the time to go do it and you don't have the money to pay for the actual lead, then take the time to go do it. If not, pay for the lead because you're gaining time by not having to go do things yourself, right? That's a good principle on leveraging other people's time so that you don't have to do yours and miss out on opportunity cost. So 3 of the most reputable providers that you're going to find in our industry, and I noticed that's one of your sponsors, which is awesome. I think PropStream, that we use them on our business, quite honestly, because I use more than one data provider, and I'm a data provider. So Property List Manager is a company I own. We provide data as well. But I still use PropStream because I want every data list I can get, which I'll get into in a second. And then CoreLogic used to actually be owned by a title company. So they are the company that owns and operates ListSource. Most people know about ListSource. ListSource is not necessarily as up to date as CoreLogic themselves because it's another step in the chain, right? So you're just getting further away from the data source. So the further you are away from the actual county records, there's that much potential lag time in that data being as fresh as if you can get it directly, right? I know PropStream PropStream, CoreLogic, and Property List Manager are the top 3 that I know of that get direct data now in real time and are refreshing it in real time. So, and between all of these, you can get leads depending on what subscriptions you have and packages you have with said providers. You can get, your leads are going to cost you 4 cents, sometimes less, depending on what kind of enterprise level packages you have, depending on how much data you're getting. So it can cost you pennies to not have to go down to the courthouse to get accurate and verifiable quality data. Now, mistake number 2 is that we see people using direct mail pieces that have poor or unproven messaging. So the reality is direct mail is your most expensive thing that you can do. So testing it is an expensive thing to do. Most real estate investors are not professional sales copywriters. Like I said earlier, this number is now over 70 million because we mail over 1.5 or 2 million pieces a month. for our members across the country. And we're testing all the time, right? So we've tested over 400 different direct mail pieces, and we have 80 that we know are winning pieces that are the ones that are dialed in and have great conversions. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you in the slides. I obviously can't share all 80, but I can show you where we do have that if it's something that interests anybody. So this is actually one of the top postcards that has between an 8 and 15% response rate in a lot of places. You see this one around a lot. This is a modified version of one that used to be called the third notice or the last notice. A lot of providers offer it. It is good. Now, let me say, to add more for you guys here, it is good, but it's a testing thing. Good meaning it has a high response rate. So understand that response rate in direct mail doesn't necessarily mean more deals, right? At the end of the day, you want more deals. So you may get a high response rate, but it may be a piece that is just getting a response rate from people that are pissed off because you're the 15th person that mailed this piece to them, right, in your market, because everyone else was told to go use that. So I wanted to share that extra information there, right? Versus you may have a piece that only gets a 1 or 2% response rate with a very well-crafted letter, very highly targeted to who you're going after, that's going to work way better on closing because it's just seamless, right? So one gets you more responses, one gets you more closed deals. Now, the challenge is you got to test that. So if you don't have a marketing budget to test that, don't go into direct mail, because direct mail is a long game play and it takes money. You've got to consistently send mail. Mail is not a send it once. I didn't get enough phone calls and get a deal closed in the first week, so I'm quitting. Then you should have never went into direct mail, right? It's just that simple. I mean, let me make it that simple for you, because if you're not going to do direct mail every week or every 2 weeks for the next 90 days, don't even start. There's no point. You're not going to see the result from it. So mistake number 3 is not skip tracing your list. This is a huge mistake. Skip tracing, for those of you that don't know, is a tool that's used to locate people and generally contains all their contact information. So normally this is like what a private eye or law enforcement would have access to, but you can literally get access to direct unlisted numbers, cell phones, emails, other addresses, relatives, possible associates. And this allows you to be able to do cold calling, text messaging, and email that you wouldn't normally be able to get if you were just doing direct mail, right? Or any other form of marketing. So it's a very inexpensive way if you're not doing these are, and I'm going to get into all these marketing channels as we continue to go on what's effective, deals that have come from these example ones, so you can just see what's best for you. And then I'll give you some tidbits on how to choose, because you shouldn't do them all unless you have the budget for all. But again, I would argue don't do all unless you're already a very well operating machine. So it can be expensive depending on where you're going from. I think you guys had a skip tracing thing. So the one I thought I saw up front is a reasonable one within the market and has good skip tracing too. So Pro Secret, well, we can do all your skip tracing too, but you guys have a data provider where I would just tell you when it comes to skip tracing data, Batch, us, and a handful of others are all basically the same data. So really the price continues to drop because it's become a price war. We're all providing the same data. At the end of the day, they only come from one of a couple sources. And again, just like list data, skip tracing data is just being resold. If you have $100,000 budget every month to get skip tracing, then you can go to the same data providers and you can negotiate a deal where you'll give them $100,000 a month and they will give you a great price on skip tracing. Otherwise, you can use one of the vetted great companies that are out there like Batch, like Property List Manager, and get your skip tracing for usually around 15 cents or less, depending on promos that are going on. But definitely skip trace your data. This is an example of all the data. You know, as you can see, there's lots of different data points that are potential for it to come back. So make sure you're skip tracing your data at the end of the day. I don't care who you use, just skip trace it. You need the phone numbers. You need other ways to contact these people, because and when I show you the way I would do direct mail is going to eliminate a ton of who you should be even sending mail to anyways. All right, so let's get into that. Mistake number 4, spend too much time and money going after everyone. And this is where we're going to get into the difference, right? So if you're going after, I suggest you get all of this data. I don't suggest that you go after everyone like a lot of people teach. That's mass advertising and it's very expensive. So what if there's a way to focus all your marketing dollars and efforts on the leads that have the highest chance of selling you their property at a discount. That is the 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle. How about you do 20% of the efforts to get 80% of the results? Most people are doing everything and wondering why they've created a chaotic mess for themselves that feeds that loop back, right? So 80-20 your business is by stacking your list. And more than likely you have heard that term. So I, as the person who created the term, want to actually tell you what it means because it is so misused in today's market. So Property List Manager is a company that I started, wow, almost 4 years ago now. And we made up the word list stacking because we had to have a phrase that explained what our software did. And we couldn't explain it by saying, well, it does all this amazing stuff. And so we came up with list stacking. Now everyone says list stacking because it's the sexy term. The reality is most people that are using the word list stacking are simply telling you how to apply filters. So when they say go into a list provider and filter down to your probate, your vacant, your free and clear, your pre-foreclosure, that's not stacking a list. Not in the essence of what it actually means. It is in a sort of stack, and so it's a play on words, right? But they're filtering out tons of properties you should be going after because that's not actually stacking. So what stacking actually is getting your entire pre-foreclosure list, your entire free and clear list, all your vacant houses, all your probate, all of any of these pain points that you can get, the whole data set as it's called, every property that's on that list by itself. And I'm saying to go after all of them. Then what you do, whoops, what happened? My slides went backwards, sorry. Then you stack them. And so stacking is literally not filtering. Stacking is, and I'm just giving you two examples of two stacks that we use, right? One being our shipwreck list, which is proprietary list of code violations, pre-foreclosures, vacant houses, absentee, and recently divorced, all combined together. So all of these data points are hit, meaning a person that's on that list is got 6 different reasons why they're going to want to sell. And a person who's on the next list, our invisible list, has over 4 different pain points. Now, stacking lists at an even higher level is, it doesn't matter what the pain points are. Stacking lists is as simple as if they have 2 or more pain points, whether they're code violations and high equity, pre-foreclosures mixed with tax default, vacant houses and probate, and I'm bouncing between the list to give a point, right? The point being that it doesn't matter what the stack is. These just happen to be 2 really good stacks. The number one question that I get asked, because we've managed over 120 million property addresses in Property List Manager at this point, we're the biggest provider of the service. Obviously, we named and coin phrased it, is, well, what's the best list? The best list that you will ever get, and mark my words, is the list you create. There is no best magic list. There just isn't. People that tell you, oh, you got to get this list. This is the list that's done it all for me. Sure, they got a deal. You might get a deal too, but there's no magic in that list. The magic is in fresh, clean data, stacking it. And when you stack it, it's going to tell you who are the most likely. Now, I've reverse engineered this with tons of deals that we did to be able to actually to see what the results were. And I can tell you anyone that is on one list generally isn't coming to you from cold calling, texting, or direct mail. They're finding you online through PPC or SEO, period. I trust me when I say, without going into the weeds, I have the data to prove that with hundreds of closed deals to prove that against. Everyone that was on 2 or more lists, and usually higher, 3, 4, or 5 pain points mixed, no matter what the mixture was how we got them through cold calling, texting, RVM, or direct mail, any other marketing channel. So that's interesting because I can also tell you from all that data and compiling 100 million addresses that it's roughly, and we'll just use the 80-20 rule, but really what I saw is more like a 90-10 rule. Only 10% of all the data that you compile, if you compile all the data, are actually people that are on 2 or more lists. Let that sink in. That means that you're probably wasting 90% of your marketing dollars to get the same deals you would get by cutting that budget. And I know because we tested this over the last 4 years and we proved it. And so if you have 100,000 property addresses, there are probably only 10,000 you should be going after at any given time. Now the 10,000 will change every month as data comes out. There's new pain points that hit. There's new pre-foreclosures on the market. There's new co-violations that come out. And it's why the data that you start with is the most important piece of this whole thing. And then stacking it so you don't waste your money. Because if you're marketing to all of them, most of them aren't ready yet. Most of them aren't ready until they get the second or third pain point. Then they're motivated enough to actually want to do a deal with someone like us that needs to buy at a discount in order to wholesale it or to rehab it, right? And so don't waste your money going after all the people that aren't ready. It's just, there's no point. You could be better spending your marketing dollars. And so that's the any property on 2 or more lists is what we consider a hot lead, right? And generally it's about 10% of your data, maybe 20% at best. But so again, I've said a lot of this, so I'll burn through these slides, but if you're spending 90% more on your marketing dollars, if you're not stacking, which means you're also following up with the wrong people, even if you are following up, which is another topic we're going to get into here very shortly. So you end up wasting money and opportunities. Data is the key to high profitability, period. If I could cut 90% of your marketing budget out, but you made the same amount of money, it just made you way more profitable. And that's the reality of data stacking. I can prove it countless times over and have tons and tons and tons of testimonials and reviews to say that. So our list manager software is actually our data stacking. Again, we created it. So you take all your data. I don't care if you get it from ListSource, CoreLogic, PropStream, directly from us. We have a database that you can put it in. It'll automatically stack it all, clean it all out. It'll pump out with a click of a button. Here's all your motivated sellers and highly targeted who you should go after. You can do this through Excel. You can buy different Excel macros and different things like that. So some way, some shape or form, however you're going to do it, just find a way to do that. And I could probably work out something with Mark to give you guys, whoever attended here, a free version of our software so you can just use it for free. So once you've stacked and skip traced your list, now let's get into the 5 different ways that you can market to property owners. And I'm going to give you a little, like I said, this is a quicker presentation. I'm adding to it for you guys just so you have a little bit more information to use. So direct mail is number 1. We have built-in templates to that list manager software that'll get you guys for free. I just got to get a link so that it can send you where you can get it for free and not pay for it. And it goes to the printer, it sends everything else for you. So, whoop, what happened? Oh, push button. Oh, this is just, sorry. This is showing all of our some of our direct mail pieces. As low as 40 cents, includes your postage and handwritten letters. Now, let me first say, well, let's break down what the numbers look like for direct mail. And then this will help kind of let you know who should and shouldn't do direct mail. Again, it all comes back to your marketing budget. And plan on doing anything you choose to do for at least 90 days. Don't say, I'm going to start text messaging today, and after a week, I didn't get a deal, so I'm going to try direct mail. And then that didn't work this week. So next week, somebody said cold calling was hot, right? That's rampant in our industry right now. And that is how you will never make money and wonder why, right? You just pick one. It doesn't matter what it is. And here, I'm going to give you a rule of thumb before I get into all these marketing channels that work. And anytime I've coached someone, this is exactly what I tell them. Pick one. And here's how you pick the one. Number 1, it has to be budget conscious. So you have to pick the one that fits your budget, right? Which a lot of these are going to, no matter what your budget is. But the second piece is going to be, what do you respond to the most, or what do you like? So so let me say it this way. Are you a person that goes out to your mailbox and checks your mail and actually looks at the pieces of mail? If you are, send direct mail if you have the budget to do it, because it fits your personality, right? You actually look at that. I don't, so I hate direct mail. Except for super highly targeted is the only thing that I do. Let's look at something like cold calling. Do you enjoy talking to someone on the phone for hours at end? Then you should focus your business starting on cold calling because it fits your personality, right? And so you're going to naturally have a better result from that marketing channel just because it fits who you are. You'll believe in it more, right? And that belief alone is going to get you a better result. Do you hate? I hate talking on the phone for hours at a time. My wife loves it, right? So she'd be great at that. I would suck at it. Text messaging, I love. You can text me all day, I'll text you back. That's my favorite channel, right? So text messaging would be a great channel for me to market in because it's going to be effective because I believe in it already. I do it all day, right? So it's easy for me to believe in it. So pick that when you think about any marketing. Maybe you're someone who loves doing stuff online. Then figure out online in Google PPC or SEO because it's something you're going to enjoy and it's going to fit your personality and you're therefore going to get a better result. You're just going to be more grateful for that whole ride because you already picked something that you enjoy anyways. If you pick one just because somebody says it's going to work, let me be the first one to tell you, all of them work as long as you consistently work them and start with good data, period. So direct mail by the numbers. So the best results, good list should be mailed at least 5 times, right? And that's why I said, don't go into direct mail unless you plan to do this at least 5 times before you can see the real result of what's going to happen. And so give you an example. Let's say you bought 10,000 leads for $400, right? That's using the 4 cents a lead. And you stack those 10,000. Now you'd be down to about 10% or 1,000 hot properties that you should actually even waste your money sending mail to. And if you sent 5 different postcards to that 1,000-person list at 40 cents a postcard, that's 1,000 pieces, 40 cents is $400, times 5 is $2,000 plus the $400 for the list that you bought. I think that does, yeah. So $2,400 investment in a round of direct mail at that budget. You can scale that up or down, right? But that's a good basis of what you should be doing. This is an example of a deal that got done from direct mail. So on this one, this is a house that was 155's estimate, contracted for 60, $20,000 assignment fee. Deal source was direct mail. So $2,400 in. Now notice though, we didn't just send mail to 10,000 people. We sent it to a very targeted 1,000 over the course of 5 times. And it got a deal like this in that example through direct mail. So $2,400 investment, $20,000 in net profit. Pretty good deal. I'd want to do more of those. But again, make sure this is what fits your budget, right? So again, back to my example earlier, this is right in your 6-to-1 ROI target. And it's also the most expensive way that you're going to market for sellers. And well, depending if you go down the Google PPC rabbit hole, that could become very costly too, especially if it's not something you're supposed to be doing. So if you're just starting out and you're on a razor thin budget, like I've said, we recommend that you skip trace and skip direct mail so that you can focus on the next 4 methods, which are not direct mail. And so, but again, I will be the first to tell you, at some point in your scaling business, direct mail is something you absolutely should do. It will be around forever. It's the marketing channel that's always been here, will always be here, and there's nothing they can regulate about sending a piece of mail, right? So all the lawsuits you hear about, if you've heard of any, I know I have, they're all related to some of the other channels when you're doing them wrong. So you can do them right, but that doesn't have, there's no wrong in direct mail. Send a piece, you can't get in trouble. It's pretty simple. So you're starting with a bigger budget. Keep in mind that all of these methods can be outsourced completely as well. And so the only thing that you have to do is negotiate and close a deal once you've gotten it to the point of being able to negotiate it. So also don't think that if you have the budget, you shouldn't be doing most of what I'm going to say. You should have someone doing your marketing for you. I like to call this the mundane $10 an hour tasks. Now, if you're starting out and you have a smaller budget, I said earlier, that means it's just going to take your time and energy versus the money that you could outsource and pay someone else to do it. But it's an investment for your time back. So consider that. Text messaging, my favorite, super cheap. It's also completely legal as long as you send the text messages individually. So if you're robo dialing them out, this is where you get into and I'm not giving you legal advice, but this is where you technically cross the TCPA guidelines and can get yourself in trouble. It has a super, super high response rate. We have copy and paste scripts that I can give out to anyone if they need them and they're doing it on their own. Just ask and I can get my team to get something over to you guys to give out to them. In our marketing team, this is something that we do. We provide text messaging services. But again, this is if you have the budget to hire an actual team to do stuff. It's about an $8 an hour job, right? You can hire anybody. You don't need us. I'm just saying it's something we provide. So here's one example. The deal in Texas made $10,000 off of sending text messages, right? And I have actually way more examples of this, but we'll just use this one. 111's estimate, 35 contract price, $10,000. The numbers on text messaging, you gotta understand text messaging is so cheap. You're literally spending like 2 cents, 3 cents a text message. So you could send 10,000 text messages for like hundreds of dollars, right? Compared to the $2,400 investment for direct mail and the rounds you have to go through, text messaging, you could get started very inexpensively and literally spend hundreds of dollars to get a deal. Now, I will tell you, just because, again, it said high response rate, don't think that means that my first 100 text messages, I got a deal. You could get lucky, right? But it takes a lot more people to go after to get a deal also, because you're going to have a lot of conversations in text messaging, but it does work. You have to stick to it just like anything else, and you've got to be consistently doing it and continue to do it for 90 days. This is my recommendation, 90 days on anything you choose. Cold calling. super highly effective as well. It's not like sales cold calling where you're simply asking them if they want to sell something to you, not if they can buy something from you. So it's a little bit different, right? So make sure your prospect's not on the do not call list. This is a very important thing. I also recommend that you check them against the litigator scrub list. Now, I'm pretty sure Batch checks these too, but I'm not 100%. I know with Property List Manager, our skip tracing automatically searches your do not call list and litigator scrub list as part of the search, but just make sure that those are being provided. Whatever provider you use, make sure that you're also getting that included so that you're not calling people that could get you in big trouble for cold calling. To make this effective, you need to do about 300 dials a day. And so again, $300 300 dials a day, either you have got to make those, and that's effective, right? You actually should be doing way more than that, but effective meaning if you're doing $300 a day, you should, or sorry, $300 dials a day, you should expect to get a lead or so every day. And every couple weeks, that should potentially turn into a deal. You'll probably get one closed deal at that level on a monthly consistent basis. You can ramp that up, right? And so 300 dials is going to take you a couple hours, even with the best dialers out there. So again, this is one of those, if you have the time and you enjoy being on the phone, cold call. If you cold call enough and you do it every single day repetitively, you will get deals. And eventually, as soon as you can, replace yourself, pay someone else to do the cold calling. And once they've gotten those leads, you now can just negotiate and you don't have to make all the dials every day. So it's better use of your time. It's another use of the 80-20 principle in marketing. So here's an example, $15,000 deal from sending a cold call. Interesting, actually, this is one of my team's deals and we are gonna make way more than that. So I'll kind of expand on this one. But at the time, this was 167's estimate, a 105 contract price that we got on this. I only know because I had to go shoot a video in front of it. That picture's wrong though, but I know the address. And what we did was we actually assigned it for $15,000 to our rehabbing division because we were actually going to rehab it and flip it because the MLS is so hot. And when we were looking at things, we actually debated and said, this house is in pretty great condition. It really doesn't need much. Oh, I'm sorry. We were going to keep it. We were going to hold it. So we wholesaled it to ourselves for $15,000 so that we could hold it as a rental and get it rented out. And then when we looked at the numbers and the way the market was responding to MLS in that area, we literally said, we're just going to put it on the MLS and see what happens. And we literally had to tell a renter that was ready to give us a deposit to hold on 2 days. We just wanted 2 days before we said yes and signed the lease. And within those 2 days, this is under contract. The appraisal was happening this week, I think. $210,000 to an FHA buyer, which is insane because this is the point of very early on where I said the MLS is crazy hot. People are just overpaying for things. In the house is in moving condition. It's great, right? So this will end up turning into like $100,000 gross. There's way more fees, factors, closing costs, holding costs and all that go into it. So don't think there's $100,000 profit. There's $100,000 that's going to be made in it, but just an example, that deal came off of our cold calling efforts. It's one of the channels I love to do. Well, not me personally, but we have a team that does our cold calling for us because that just makes sense. Now, voice drops, be careful with this one. If you're going to do this in Florida, it is hot across the country, but again, not giving legal advice, but there is legal stuff that is passed in the state of Florida that has an issue with the ringless voicemail drops. Not my favorite channel. I did it years ago and it worked very effectively, but now it's another one of those shiny objects that everyone says they love to do and they're just behind the scenes, right? But here's an example of that Tampa deal that was done earlier from one of our members, 289, 132, and a $30,000 assignment fee was made off of a ringless voicemail drop. And so for those of you that don't know what that is, it's simply a technology that allows you to send voicemail messages like you called them and got their voicemail and you left them a message, except you don't ever ring their phone. The technology bypasses the ringing of their phone and actually, I don't want to get too technical, but it's like a transfer between, it only works on cell phones if it's true ringless voicemail drops. Different than voice broadcasting, totally different thing. But it leaves them a voicemail, which they then can listen to and call back. So think instead of cold calling, it's like cold calling in reverse. You can send thousands of these voicemails into inboxes for, again, pennies on the dollar. So like 3, 4, 5 cents a voicemail, and then people call you back. So you don't have to actually cold call them. Now, again, if you're doing this in Florida, check with your own attorneys, because there is new legislation that has passed, and I'm not here giving you advice that could get you in trouble, just for you to do your own diligence. But there are a lot of people that love doing this one channel alone because it's so cheap and it makes big profit spreads when people call back. Email is probably the one that no one really considers or thinks about. But if you've done skip tracing and you did it through a good quality provider, you likely have a bunch of email addresses. It costs you pretty much nothing because email's fairly free, right? Or very cheap providers to do it. And again, no legal advice. And I know I keep giving that disclaimer because I'm not an attorney. So I want to make sure anything recorded knows that I said I'm not an attorney. But email, my understanding is you can send out an email to someone and be completely compliant. So compliance in email is something called CAN spam, which is just you can't send spamming message all the time to people, basically. But if you send one email out, you can. And so if they reply, now I'm going to get into this and what you should do with like your CRM and your follow-up system. In ours, we have 8 scripted sequences that automatically follow back up with email. So if you send an email, which we have built into our system, then when they reply back, you can then follow up with email because technically they've now opted in, right? And so that's the key word, right? They replied to you. So they've now asked you for information in that reply, unless they said stop, which most likely they don't. Usually an email, they're just not going to reply. You have a bad email address, but if it works and you can get a deal off of email, it's pretty cool because it doesn't cost you anything. Most important part of making all of this work, all these marketing channels, right? So again, I'm going to recap what I said earlier, which is pick one. Just pick one and decide that this is the one channel I'm going to do for the next 90 days. And a good rule of thumb for budget, if you're considering like, well, I don't know what I could spend on a budget. Here's my rule of thumb for budget. Especially if you're starting out or you're not sure or you've never established a budget, think about what am I willing to spend on marketing. So if you have deals, 1/6 of your deals is your answer, and that scales as you scale. If you don't, and or you're inconsistent, then take this rule of thumb. Whatever amount of money you're willing to spend for the next 90 days, assuming you made nothing, you'd be okay with spending. Now, that's not saying you're not going to make money in the next 90 days. But go into it with that thought process, because the most important piece about marketing to make it work is consistency. If you stop or you turn it on one week and off another week, or, hey, I got $5,000, so I'm going to send $5,000 worth of direct mail, but I didn't get a deal and I got to wait till I do a deal to do more marketing, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It is way more important to take that same $5,000 and divide it out over 90 days every other week. So it's that 6 cycles to 12 cycles. So $1,000 every other week, and spend that on your marketing budget, because now you have consistent marketing, which will lead to consistent deal flow, which leads to consistent closings, which means you can continue to take your 1/6 back. And that's how you scale a business. Just that simple. It's not easy because everyone wants to spend and then wait till they got money and spend and then make money. But trust me when I say, and I've done it wrong enough to know the right way to do it. If you want to scale a business, that's how. Just be consistent on whatever channel, and don't spread yourself thin across multiple channels. Pick one. If you have a little bit bigger budget, maybe pick 2. That'd be the only time, right? And pick the ones that, again, fit you the best. Now, once you got marketing out and you got leads coming in, here's the thing everyone sucks at, and it's literally what changed my whole business, and it's how I became realestateinvestor.com. It's follow-up. I don't care what anybody tells you, or you can go watch anything I've ever said anywhere. Follow-up is the name of the game. Say any sales organization, doesn't have to be real estate. If somebody sells something, follow-up is the name of the game. There's a Harvard study that says all deals are done between the 8th and 12th touch. Most people, especially in real estate, and maybe you, only follow up a second time at best. So it's no wonder we don't get very many deals for all the leads we get coming in. And I can tell you, I'm going to get into some statistics here specific to real estate, which are going to make this even worse. But follow-up is it. It's literally the one thing that took me from that same struggling investor. That was me. That was an example of me when I lived up in Michigan. Now I live in Tampa, Florida. I got a business that's crushing it. I've scaled multiple other businesses, and every one of those businesses, I don't care what it is, follow-up is the name of the game. It is the key to everything. It is the key. But it all starts with good data, consistent marketing, and then following up, because a lot of people think that, oh, I got the person on the phone, so I got to do a deal now. They want retailers, no deal. That doesn't mean there's no deal. It just means there's no deal today. They're just not ready right now. They might be ready next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, maybe 3 months from now. I've had deals that are 18 months later because I kept following up that I got a deal. So always be following up. It is the name of the game. And if you're not, you're missing out a tremendous 62% roughly of our business right now, USA portfolio in Tampa, is follow-up. So 62% of our deals come from our follow-up. So 4 keys of a great follow-up system. So again, I'm going to tell you what you should be doing to follow up and why. So targeted messages for each lead type. So it simply means if it's a seller or a buyer or an agent, make your messages specific to who you're talking to. And then same thing with the message for each campaign. So if you're doing texting or cold calling or direct mail or online through like Carrot websites, make sure that your messages speak to the fact of where that person came from. And this is the way you're following up. Hey, thanks for taking the time to fill out my online web form. Hey, thanks for texting back my partner who was trying to find out if you wanted to sell your property. Hey, yeah, my partner was calling in that area earlier to see if you had we were trying to buy a property in that area, right? So notice how I'm referencing in my messaging what campaign they came from. So it just makes it that much more personable to the person and lets them know that much more real you are, right? Message needs to adjust to lead phase. So what that simply means is someone calls you and hangs up, there's a certain style and way that you should follow up with somebody. And if you're talking with somebody and you're working on getting an appointment or working an offer, you shouldn't send the same type of messages to that person because they're in a different phase with you, right? There's what I like to call the contact phase or the new leads. Those are the people that just contacted you, but you haven't yet figured out their property address. You're not working on the deal yet. You don't even know enough information versus someone who's been in conversation with you. They're answering questions about their property. You may have an appointment or working on getting an appointment, right? Those are different phases. So you want to talk to them differently through those phases. The next is multi-channel touch points. So bottom line, this is probably the most, besides 2 things. Number 1, the most important thing is just be following up. Like if you're not, this absolutely will change everything for you. And if you are, then make sure that it's multi-channel. And multi-channel simply means don't just text somebody, right? Because you like text, like that applied to marketing, that doesn't apply to follow-up. In follow-up, you need to be doing everything. You need to be calling. You need to be leaving ringless voicemail drops if you can. You need to be text messaging the person. You need to be sending them direct mail pieces or thank you cards or a letter, something in your emailing them, right? And why multi-touch? Because the simplicity is this, how I used the example earlier for you to pick what channel worked for you for marketing based on what you like. Everyone's different. Everyone has the thing they like, right? So if you're only reaching back out to people one way, you're only getting about 25% of your people that are actually going to ever respond to that message because you didn't find the channel they like the most. So if you hit them with multiple channels, then you increase your odds of someone actually getting back on the phone with you and being able to do a deal. So multiple channels is the way you got to do this. So follow-up fact number 1, your chances of closing on a qualified lead jumps to over 90% after the sixth time you've contacted them. It's huge, right? So again, remember I said most people in real estate are lucky if they make a second phone call to somebody. 90% of your business comes after the 6th. So again, persistence pays off. Follow-up fact 2, Wednesdays and Thursdays are actually the best days to call statistically. That doesn't mean they're the only days, but they seem to be, from the millions of follow-ups we've done, the best days that people are going to call, and generally between 4 and 5 are the best times. Now, these are just all statistics from millions of phone calls tracked across all kinds of things. And getting into, anyone that knows and anyone's ever checked out or known anything I did with realestateinvestor.com, automation is the key to this. Most of us aren't going to follow up, even if we say we're going to. And so if it's not fully automated, it's probably not going to happen. Just good odds, right? So, and if you automate this through technology, it will follow up with them at the best time and the best day. I'm going to add, this is statistical. my perspective is the best time to follow up with each individual person is when they contacted you. So if they called you at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, odds are 12 o'clock in the afternoon is a good time for them. If they reached out to you at 8 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night is probably the best time for them, right? So that is, to me, going to outweigh statistical averages across the board. But if you were working on statistics, these are the best times. You could also think about that if you were doing cold calling for your marketing. Those are the best times to be cold calling. Follow-up fact 3, 15 minutes. That's it. And if it's an online lead, and even more so, I think this is decreasing anyways. But as of the last statistics, after 15 minutes from someone reaching back out to you from any marketing, they called you off your direct mail, they went online and found you, they text you back, they emailed you back, whatever it is, whatever marketing channel you did, if you don't reply back to them in 15 minutes or less, and if it's online, it's 5 minutes or less. Just think about yourself. You go try to find something online because you want something now. And we're in an in-demand instant world, right? And I click a button on my phone and I call them and they don't answer. If I don't get a call back really quick, I'm probably already on Google looking for another answer. Or if I got a postcard in my mail, there's other ones. You're not the only one. They're just picking up the next pile off there and calling that number next to see if that one's legit. And so that's part of the psychology in that you would do the same if it was you, right? So your odds decrease by over 400% after the first 15 minutes of actually getting that person on the phone. So it's highly, highly important. And again, you can automate this. You could automate this initial response. So if you're working another job, then absolutely make sure you have automation in place or you have someone that can live answer. One of the two. I love automation because I don't necessarily like to hire people if I don't have to. But that's just personal preference. And true, it continues to decrease the more time that elapses. Now, here's going to be the crazy one. Not a shocker because I've seen thousands of investment businesses now, so not shocking, but it might be to you that over 30% of leads that are generated in real estate investing are never even contacted back. That's crazy, right? But it's true. So that is your competition. They send out marketing and then they didn't, truthfully, I think what happens is they didn't expect to get a reply. They finally took the action, right? And the reply came in and they just are afraid, most likely, or they're so busy doing so many other things, they didn't even know they got contacted. These are guesses, right, on why, but over 30% of leads are never even contacted when they contact a company in general, which is horrible. So that's just money flying out the window, right? Hopefully that's not one of you. If it is, absolutely automate that so that you at least have some sort of contact coming out so you don't miss out on a huge opportunity, especially if you're going to spend money on marketing. Don't throw your dollars out the door. So this is near the end of what we do. I'm going to show you a couple other things. This is not a sales pitch, but I think what's going to go into this slide is just sharing with you what our CRM does. Because it's all, I already know when it said that, Rob, this is all great, but how do I do everything you just said? Automate it. You've got to, right? And so essentially you have two options. I'm going to show you option one that a lot of people do, which is do it yourself, go ahead at your own, build your own system, hire a team to work your leads, build pivot tables and formulas to identify sellers, find a CRM that you can customize for your leads and deals. Generally, for most people, it's going to be lost opportunity cost because you're spending time setting all that up. I'm going to give you a good picture of this because this was me before I built what is now realestateInvestor.com. You got to get Podio, you got to get Global Flow for Podio so that it can actually connect and make things work. You got to get DocuSign so you can send contracts and connect it. You got to get CallRail because you got to have a phone system that you got to connect. Launch Control is a text messaging platform you could use. Wix is like Carrot. I prefer Carrot, but just another example of websites. Zapier, you're going to need that if you got any of this because that's how these things connect and integrate with each other. So it's another subscription. MailChimp or some other email provider so you have the ability to send emails outside of your Google account because you need to be able to do them in mass, which there's a thing called Gmass with Gmail if you have a smaller list, so that would work and cool if you want to check into that. LeadSherpa is just another texting provider. Implecto is just a way to dashboard so you can actually see what all these different things are doing for you and have any clue as to what they are, right? So all told, roughly, if you were to get all these different tools, you're looking at about $1,700 a month. Now, I'm not saying you need all these tools, you don't, but if you get any combination of a bunch of tools, generally speaking, to do all the things that I just said and have it fully automated is going to take a few tools. I used to have 12 to 13 different tools and my budget was costing me way over that. running my business that expanded and came to here. And it's really what started me down the road of ever even getting into software and services for real estate investors, because that just sucked. I hated logging into a bunch of different dashboards to figure out what was going on in my business. And we were making money, but it still was not fun. I knew there had to be a way for there to be a simple one thing. And so option two, you can just, if you ever want to, check out realestateinvestor.com. We provide what is called REI Touch Professional. It's literally, for a small fraction of that cost, only a couple $100, it literally does every single thing that I have explained in this video. Everything, down to list stacking, cold calling, text messaging, sending cold emails, handling the different phases of communication, following up in multiple touch points, built-in contracts, everything. It's your whole business completely paperless in one place. It was built by me, a real estate investor, still an active real estate investor today, because I want to keep innovating it and seeing what works better and what else I can add to it to make it so that people don't have to go get 10 different systems to operate a business. So it fully integrates and it's compatible with anything. And we do it for you. So you don't need Zapier, you don't need anything to integrate. It's just something that we do. Just going to click through. I already said all these things that it does, everything. It's a simple way. Plus all of our we do everything. So that's why our name is realestateinvestor.com. If there's something related to helping you scale your business, we do it. That's why we have such a huge team, so that we can provide it around the country. So I've said a lot of different stuff and I tried to do it semi-fast so that I could cover a lot, because I knew I had a lot in there, but I think I'm within our time frame. So if anyone has questions, or if you guys want to open up for questions, totally up to you guys.
No,
Yeah, that was awesome, Robert. Let's give him a round of applause. First of all, you knocked it out of the park, my friend. And you went overtime, but everybody loved you and they're hanging around for more. A couple of key things that I just want to note, give you a chance to get some water and catch your breath, man. You rocked it for real.
Trying to do it fast and add more than what we usually do.
Man, the consistency and the persistence is, non-negotiable. But you said some things that I had known, but I never really thought of. That I hope everybody took notes, because I took notes too. And a couple of things that was really great, like, but you don't really practice it. Like, call them when they called you.
Yes.
Was like that's a winner, because that takes a lot of time out of what you're doing on a regular basis. The other thing that was really cool, which everybody probably gravitates to, you told them to do what fits them. If they like texting, text. If they like to call. If they like looking at mail, find what fits their own personality. Yep. And stay in one lane until you get good at it. But you gave so much information, and we're going to open it up to questions for everybody. But I hope you hear everybody clapping, because you didn't lose one person on this call. So you nailed it. And thanks for being with us. So we'll open it up now.
Appreciate that.
Hey, Robert, this is Doug Dolph. Great presentation. That was amazing. I've got a couple pages of notes. So that was amazing.
Thank you, Doug.
So, yeah. Can you explain how your REI Touch Professional is? What does it add on top of like RE Simply? Because I know they kind of have the a business in a box, and I've just haven't really looked in it at any depth. But how does that yours? Do you have features that they don't? What does that look like?
Yeah, the simple. I know the owner of pretty much every one of those companies. So REI Simply is a friend of mine. The biggest difference between the two are we're just years ahead in development. That's the best way I can say it. He's got a great product. He's got a lot of the same features. A lot of the differences when you get into systems that look comparative is number one, always ask underneath, do I need to connect something for that to work, right? That seems to be the golden rule, because a lot will say they do stuff and then you find out, oh, well, it does it if you connect CallRail or if you connect this, right? And so that is like, well, that's not what you marketed when you said it did it, right? So always ask that question. REI Simply, I think, does do it all built in, because I know him and I'm pretty sure that's what he was developing. We're just over 4 years and thousands of users into this at this point. So different place, right? We have a 90-person team. So my development team alone is, huge. Like, it's a big part of our budget. So that's the difference. We do everything. It's in one place. and it's fully automated. So usually the biggest difference between us and anyone that says that is it literally comes out of the box already set up, right? So there's no setup to it. It literally, you just start working. You put a lead in there and it's already following up with people, which is the biggest difference. Like a lot of other so-called automated follow-ups usually are automating, telling you that you need to click a button to do follow. So it's an automated reminder that you need to do follow-up. Our system just does it, right? And it's already scripted. The scripts are already in there, so you don't have to set any of it up. So that's the biggest difference, is the setup. There's no setup with ours. It's just, it instantly builds itself in 2 seconds. There's not a wait a day for us to get your account set up, hop on the phone and figure it out. No, you sign up and it works. Now we do trainings, we do live trainings, we do live onboardings too, but that's just to answer any questions you have and make you realize, like, yeah, it actually does what you think it's going to do. There's nothing to do. Just put leads.
And does that $200, that include multiple teams? If I've got a team of total 4 of us, what does that look like to, use a system like that?
Yeah, so it's $297 a month for our touch professional level. It includes everything. I mean, you could have a team of 25 at that price. So 4 is no big deal. It's a system that is designed to not only meet you wherever you are. And by the way, we have a $97 version too, I should mention. Now that has less features, right? Because you're at a different place. But it still has room for team members. I think up to 5 team members on that. It does all the automated follow-up. That's the core of what you need. The rest are like, as you're closing multiple deals and you got to track and manage all that. That's where the professional level comes into, email blast and tech blast to buyers and stuff like that. But it comes with over 25 team members, thousands of minutes, thousands of text messages included every month, all your contracts. It includes everything that you need. And it's set so wherever you're going to go with your business, there's no limit to where you can scale with us. So you don't ever have to say, well, am I going to outscale your business? No, I mean, the biggest operation that I'm aware of that works under us does over 40 million a year.
Nice.
With
and
our
then
one platform.
What's the e-signature platform that you send out as?
Yeah, built in.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is built in.
Okay, so
you don't have to go get like a DocuSign or any of those other softwares.
Does the client have to download something then?
Nope.
Or okay.
No, it's literally, I intentionally didn't play the demos because this was not a sales pitch. I have demos that literally would show you literally just click a button, it sends it. Like when I say there is nothing else you need, it's literally, as soon as you have our software, all of it's there and it works. You just click the button, it does that. Nothing to set up. Cool. I mean, we even have the contracts already built in. You can go customize those things if you want, but because I'm a real estate investor, okay, understand when I built this, I know people in my niche. They don't want to do stuff. They won't go set things up. They don't do the follow-up scripting that they say they're going to do, right? How do I know? Because I'm that guy and I won't do any of that. So when I built it, the requirement of the developer that I hired to do this for other people was, it has to be the best if I'm going to put my money behind it, because my name's going to go behind it. And by best, I literally mean I need to hand them what they do and leave it open that they could go edit it later. But they're not going to do that for 6 months. So I don't want them to go 6 months with a new system and it not doing what it needs to do because they never took the time to learn it or set it up. So I just give it to you set up. You can go change it when you figure out that, oh, I wanted to say this instead of text message. Great, go edit it. But I was making sure that a text message got sent. I was making sure that an email went out for you. Like I wasn't taking a chance that you were going to go set that up after you bought the system because you didn't want to do that. Most people don't. Some do, but most don't.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely, Doug.
Michael, do you have a question?
I did. If we wanted to get do we set it up through your website or?
Did you, some of that broke up. Did you say a call or a demo?
Demo. If we wanted to see a demo and maybe do a little deeper dive, what do we,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you go to our website, right on our website, there's a learn more button and it'll actually take you to a short demo. So like if you just want to watch a 5-minute demo, and then from there you can click to schedule a call and they'll actually do a live demo with you, or hop on the phone if you have questions.
And that website again is the information you want to leave them, how to get a hold of you and stuff like that. Go for it.
Realestateinvestor.or.com. Not additional OR, just clarifying that it's realestateinvestor.com.
It's also on the website right now, or on the screen right now, guys, underneath any questions.
Oh yeah, disregard the forward. I mean, you can go look at the /lien. That's actually an offer that's coming out this week. It's just a whole bunch of extra stuff thrown in. But that's not, I didn't even realize that was there. I've eliminated all the sales stuff because this is literally a presentation that's going out live to a huge thing where they've asked us to come and make a special deal. But I mean, you can go there if you already know it's something. But there's no demo videos there. You'd have to go to our website to see the demo videos. This would have assumed I played demo videos and I sold you, but I'm not trying to sell you in here. So I eliminated all those slides, I thought.
Anybody else have any other questions?
That's the best kind of sales pitch there.
Right? The accidental sales pitch.